Alright, so what we've got here is this is my piece of torpedo blister steel from the USS Texas. This is some of the deck material right here. I believe it's pine. I probably won't be using this for the handle for this project because I have no way to stabilize it. So for this build we'll probably be going with a mesquite or a ironwood handle. This envelope right here basically just contains the letter that explains where the steel came from on the ship, and just talks about how they're going to be doing a serial numbering process for each piece that will go into this auction. I also got some really cool stickers and a business card for the individual that's over this, and he also sent me a really cool sent the others as well that's doing this, but it's a really cool picture here to set on our desk at knife shows, craft shows. So if somebody wants to ask how we're saving the Battleship Texas, we can tell them about the donation process and tell them about the website to go to see the work being done on the battleship, which is coming along nicely, by the way. So the first thing we're going to do in this project is I'm going to cut off a slice of this. This still has the paint on it, so I'm going to cut a slice of this off, and I'm going to put it in the forge, wear my respirator, and burn this off. And then I'm going to actually have to take this to the press, and we're going to flatten it out into the proper width and the length that we're going to need for our billet. We're going to do this on the outer layer, and I'm just going to do a standard Damascus. Make sure I have a nice thick 1095 core in there. So as I'm drawing this out and everything, we don't get out of whack and end up having unevenness from this mild steel to the high carbon steel. So with that being said, I'm going to throw this in the bandsaw, chop us a good piece off, and then we'll get it thrown in the forge and get it flattened out, ready to clean up on the grinder. Alright, so here's where we are. We got our outer cladding from the Battleship steel drawn out. We're going to be using this for our core material. This is alternating layers of 15N20 and 1095. I got a layer of 1095 on the outside. I got a double layer of 1095 in the middle, and it just alternates through there. So I'm going to clean this up with some acetone and get it in the vise here, and get it clamped down, and then we'll weld it all together, get it tossed in the forge. Alright, I've got everything cleaned up, cut up, ready to stack again. This is our outer layer of Battleship steel, right here. This is our Damascus billet, the first layer of it. Our second piece of Damascus. And then our final layer of Battleship steel. I've already cleaned these with acetone. I'm going to go ahead and get them welded up, and we'll get them tossed back in the forge and get it drawn out and get ready to make our knife. Alright, now through the magical wonders of a corrupt memory card, this is where we currently set at. This is a piece of the torpedo blister steel that they sent me from the ship. I'm actually actively drawing this out to become the D-guard portion of this build. This is our heat-treated and finished ground blade. This is ready for hand sanding currently. If you look here closely, you can see our Damascus core. Our ship steel is up here. So this is our Damascus core. It turned out really nice. Same thing here. You can kind of see it in there. See if the light hits it right. Like I said, all this area up here is Battleship steel. And so the plan with this is to make a Harvey Dean style D-guard Bowie knife. I've ordered the handle material. It should be in this coming week. Not very happy that the camera card did that, but it happens sometimes. But with that being said, we'll just move forward and I'll bring y'all guys along for the finishing of it and see how she turns out. Alright, let's move on to the next step. Alright, so we got our guard material drawn out and got a package from Pop's Knife Supply. This should be our handle material. So we have some number 30 drill bits. I talked about in videos before going there to buy bits because these bits are only like $1 a piece, and if I buy them at the hardware store, they're substantially more expensive. And being a number 30 bit, they're the perfect size for an 1/8 of an inch pin stock. And we got our handle material in. This is a black ash burl. It has been stabilized, and that's what we're going to be putting on our D-guard Bowie knife. With that being said, I'm going to turn my attention now to hand sanding the blade. Alright, so I've got my knife hand sanded. I have not etched it yet, and I wanted to turn my attention to the guard here. And so what I've done is I've taken our piece of steel that we forged out on the press, and I've cleaned it up on the grinder, flattened both of the sides, and then used my height gauge in conjunction with this 1-2-3 block to set it up to scribe the central line of what will be the guard. Now that I have that done, I'm going to measure down from the end here of the bar down to where I want to start the milling for the slot for my tang. And so that's what I'm going to set up next. Alright, we got the slot milled for the tang. I also went in my rotary carver and cut down inside of there to give a place for the shoulders to sit down inside of the guard. I also made this spacer, this front spacer for the knife. It is also out of Battleship steel. And so now we're going to turn our attention to the handle material and get it drilled out and filed into shape and start getting this put together. Alright, so everything's fit up pretty well. I will go back and I'm going to drill some pinholes in this for these stainless pins I've got. They will be up here for the front spacer and they'll be pinned into the handle. And then of course we're going to have the lower portion of the guard here will be pinned into the wood down here. And I may put a lower spacer on there, so we'll see. But with that being said, I'm going to trace out some lines here. I've already got some rough ones drawn, but I'm going to finalize the lines for the way I want my handle to look, and then we'll get this cut off and cleaned up. Throw this guard in the forge, bend it to shape. I will probably grind it to its final shape first, put whatever design I want on it, but I may wait and do that after. I don't know yet. We'll see. All right, catch you in a bit. Alright, so here's where we are. I got the guard shaped. I've got the front spacer, bottom spacer, everything fitting up nicely. We still have to make a piece for the pommel here. I've just got this little scrap piece of metal here and this 1/4-inch nut holding it all together right now. We're going to turn our attention now to shaping everything. I'm going to start shaping the front spacer first, and then we'll shape the bottom spacer, then do the handle. I will actually shape the guard last. That'll be the last thing that I do, is shape the guard and the pommel part. So let's turn our attention to these and get moving along. Alright, I've got my front and rear spacer ground out. I got them drilled for the pins to hold everything together. And I've got the lines scribed here on my handle material. And so I'm going to jump on the grinder and clean all this up, shape it and everything, get it roughed in, and I'll finish it off with some hand sanding. Alright, so I got my template stuck to my D-guard with some magnets, and I'm going to go shoot it with some spray paint, and then we'll get to cleaning it up, get ready to stick on the knife. Alright, so I got everything glued up, got all the fittings blued and everything, and so I've got the pommel nut right here, and what I'm going to do on it is I'm going to go over to the bandsaw, I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to paint it over, round it over and everything, clean it up, and then I'll apply some bluing solution to it, get it all finished up, and then we'll see how our knife turns out. Alright, I'll catch you in a minute. hey, if you're still hanging around, I want to tell you that I appreciate you watching. If you would hit that sub button down below, ring the notification bell, notify me when this content is post. And I want to show you that not everything always goes perfect with these builds. A lot of times you watch these videos and you may think, wow, that came together perfect, but there's mess ups. There's things that happens behind the scenes that you don't see on the video. Because if I added all of that, this video would be twice as long. Now, I've done D-guard buoys before. There's a whole build of one on here on the channel. It's a Civil War style D-guard. It's more of like a short sword looking D-guard though, almost like a cutlass. But with that being said, this is just some of the stuff that was messed up on this build. But a lot of times when you're just starting out and you come up to a problem and it seems to be a large problem that sets you back, the best thing to do is to not give up but try again. Over the course of time you'll learn more. And like I said, this is just some of the things I messed up on. This guard, apparently when I had ground it out and everything, it had an inclusion down here. All I can think of is that it came from where the stick was welded on when I was drawing it out. And so I originally was going to go and change it to an S guard and just kind of give in, but I was like, no, I said I was going to do a D guard, I'm going to do a D guard. Which, you know, there's nothing wrong with changing your design as you go. That's okay, but I had made a commitment to do a D-guard buoy, and I was going to do a D-guard buoy. This is a spacer I messed up on. As you can tell, it's not symmetrical whatsoever. This whole side here swoops in, so it was trash. This is the lower spacer on the handle right before the D-guard come around, and I messed up on it. And this was supposed to be the end cap that I would peen over the tang on. And I had drilled and got this one all set up on this side to screw my pommel nut into. But as you can tell, when I started grinding, got a little distracted by something else and ground the wrong side. So had a mess up there. And then this right here, of course, is where I messed up on one of the original pommel nuts I was making. So mistakes happen. You don't always see them in the videos, but on bigger builds like this, it's bound to happen one way or another. Sometimes they go off without a hitch. A lot of times little things have to be approached and addressed. But if you're a new maker out there just getting started, don't let stuff like this get you down. Just double down and make it work. That may mean switching your D guard to an S guard, but I would try always to learn from every mistake, definitely. But with that being said, like I said, I appreciate you watching. You all have a good one, and I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.